where patience weaves prosperity and the ancestors dance with the living, the wisdom of Ogbe Iwori. The rain had not fallen in 3 moons. The yam fields cracked beneath the weight of silence, and even the birds had grown weary of prayer. But deep within the sacred grove where the shadows listened and the trees leaned in to speak, an old babalawo named Oki was telling a story to the wind. He spoke of Agba nwèhìn, called by some Ogbe Iwori, the Odu whose back never turned without purpose. He spoke with the rhythm of a drum carved from memory, and every word he offered was soaked in the dew of revelation. Agba Iwori, he intoned, is a road paved by those who were underestimated in the morning but crowned at dusk. Once, before time had shoes, Agba nwèhìn prepared to descend from Orun, the celestial realm, to walk among mortals on earth. He stood at the gates of Alafi's palace, holding nothing but a goat's shadow and the counsel of Ifa. There 2 wise Awo offered him a warning: greatness awaits you, but only if you obey every whisper of the divine and feed the deities that guard your path. So Agba Iwori offered 16 snails, 2 chickens, and a goat, not just to any spirit, but first to his guardian angel, then to Agba, and lastly to Ogun, who demanded a dog. Each sacrifice was not a payment but a key. Each act was not transaction but covenant. As he descended, he passed through the symbolic prison of Obatala, the one who creates with white clay, and there he learned, before any soul can rise it must remember to kneel. Humility is the soil where destiny blooms. The world he entered was brimming with whispers and veiled enemies. There were hands that smiled and tongues that cut, yet Agba Iwori remembered the Awo's words: never journey far from Ifa lest you return to your old chains. He became a priest, young but luminous, gathering seekers as bees gather to honey on the cusp of harmattan. But envy is a fire that dances behind praise, and one festival day, the elders sought to humble the boy who had risen too swiftly. They decreed that each priest must bring a living goat to sacrifice, but Agba Iwori, ever the son of clever stars, brought a drum instead, crafted from the hide of a dead goat he had offered to Eshu. The cry of the dead, he said, is louder than the living. They laughed until the drumbeat sang, and then they danced, even the arrogant. For in Agba Iwori we learn, the dead speak not only through bones but through wisdom wrapped in rhythm. Now let me tell you about Olu, a man born under this sacred Odu, who knew the taste of sorrow and the ache of stolen dreams. Twice he was robbed of his earnings, ambushed on the road between village and market, yet rather than collapse into bitterness he sought out Ifa. The diviner whispered of Iogun, negative forces with teeth made of shadow. Olu was told to gather 3 roosters, yams as high as his thigh, 23 kola nuts and palm oil. He was told to feed Oro, the Òrìṣà who walks between the worlds. He obeyed. When the robbers came again, they heard the voice of Oro echoing through the trees, and they fled. Some say the bush swallowed them whole, others say the cacti wrote their names in scars. Either way, Olu made it home, and his money, like his destiny, remained whole. In the court of Oyo there was a king without an heir, and a kingdom splintering beneath the weight of uncertainty. From 7 candidates, the elders sought a new Oba, and each submitted their name to the gods. But only one name returned from the mouths of 3 separate Awo, Agba Iwori. He protested. Divination must choose, he insisted, and so it did. His reign was not without storm. He was betrayed, nearly poisoned by a woman whose beauty wore the mask of love, but he remembered, the enemy sometimes brings honey in their greeting, and so he offered again to Orunmila and survived. The proverb was born then, spoken not in a crowd but in the quiet of a hut where he fed a turtle and a snail. The dog kills the squirrel, but the squirrel makes noise. Meaning, victory is often met with resistance, but noise cannot undo a kill. Stay steadfast. The daughters and sons of Ogbe Iwori are born late bloomers. The world mocks them in youth, only to bow before them at dusk. They are prone to discouragement but carry within them the ember of greatness. Their allies are time and resilience. For them, patience is not merely a virtue, it is survival. They are advised to keep a gourd with sacred beads, a drum made of goat hide, and to sing to the spirits every 17 days. Their marriages must be planned in advance, lest fate untie the knot. They must choose love not by familiarity but by destiny, not from their hometowns but from the wide net cast by fate. Osain walks beside them, as does Elegba. Shango watches from the horizon, and Obatala offers clarity when the clouds come. Ocean, in her golden laughter, teaches them that sometimes joy is a form of rebellion, and the ancestors dance behind them, urging them to remember who they are. In another tale, a hunter named Yana returned from the forest with twins in his arms and joy in his chest. He sang that his life was better than the king's. They dragged him to court, but when he told his tale, the king wept and blessed him. In Ogbe Iwori, the insulted become honored, the prisoner becomes the king, the mocked child becomes the mouth of wisdom. So what does this Odu teach us really? That success does not come quickly, but when it comes, it arrives like thunder. That obedience is a path, not a cage. That sacrifice is not loss, it is investment in destiny. And that sometimes, the drum you play from a dead goat will sing louder than all the living things around you. Let it be known.